Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I know there's a glare in the background, but I need sunlight to be able to see what I'm doing. I have a chart down here I'm looking at with some side notes on there. And I want to talk about Lindsay Clancy, who's currently on trial for the murder of her 3 children. I've been watching some of the trial during lunch break and during free time. I did watch some of Patrick, her now ex-husband. I was watching him, observing him, and a few other people worth noting, but I wanted to just look at her Vedic chart. I don't know why I was just drawn to do it. I have Miss Clancy born August 11th, 1990. I don't have a precise birth time, but I'm getting this information off of the court documents. When I look at her astrological chart, I'm going to tell you what I see on the day that she was born. We have Sun in Cancer at 24 degrees. We have Jupiter in Cancer at 4 degrees. We have Venus in Cancer at 3 degrees. We have K2 in Cancer at 13 degrees. So I'm looking at Cancer. Some of the other things I left out because this kind of blew my mind. The moon, I'm not sure of her moon sign because it could be one or the other. It could be Aries or Pisces, but I don't have a birth time, so I can't confirm. But if she was born before 2:12 p.m., that would make her a Pisces moon. If she was born after 2:12 p.m. on August 11th, 1990, that would make her an Aries moon. But my gut suspicion and what I'm looking at is most likely her being a Pisces moon. That's just where my gut goes. But I can't testify. So I'm assuming all this, it matches her profile. So again, the strongest thing that I'm looking at is Cancer is heavily activated in her chart. It's all about nurturing, motherhood, love, attachment, emotional security, home, taking care of one's home. However, we do have K2 in Cancer, and that is the shadow side of all of this. She has a beautiful nurturing chart. Until we look at K2. It's about separation, detachment, disconnection. Something bonded, and then it becomes strangely disconnected, and you don't know why. Yeah, that. Now, when we look at the day the murders took place, which would have been around, no, it was on January 24th, 2023. And I'm using 5:15 p.m. because that is when at that time, her husband, Patrick Clancy, says he left home. He left his house to go do some errands for her. So on the day of the murders, and I'm using 5:15, as I said, we have the transits happening. Rahu goes into Aries. We have Saturn in Aquarius, Mars in Taurus. But listen to me, I'm going to mention Mars again. Mars in Taurus. We have Jupiter going into Pisces, Sun in Capricorn. So what I noticed the most about her chart on this as well is on the day of the murders, Aries, the sign Aries. Because the natal Lindsay has Mars in Aries. So you have that aspect as well. So on the night of the deaths, Rahu was transiting or transiting Aries. Activating the same sign as Lindsay's natal Mars, and that's critical in this. The Vedic Saturn from Aquarius, it casts its special effect as well in the third aspect onto Aries in her chart. So we have Saturn aspecting Aries and Mars. And that is a extreme, I mean extreme difficult Mars activation. It is extreme. It's all about removing normal boundaries while being suppressed and feeling restricted. And that causes a psychological pressure point, a big one, if we're looking at it on a astrological level. Remember, what I speak on, I don't claim to be factual. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. However, we see what we see that's going on in this trial. And the reason why I bring that up is because the one thing Lindsay's own defense team is doing is they're not disputing that her 3 children, you know what I mean by that. I could say it out loud, but I don't know, YouTube may not want me to do it. Even though I wish I could just come out and say the word murdered, and I probably will, but strangled is the word I was going to use. In fact, her lawyers and her defense team are saying that she's not responsible due to her mental state. I can't say I disagree with that. I will share my own intuitive insight with this here shortly. When I look at Lindsay, the first thing I saw was an emptiness. And when I look at women who kill, like harm their children, I see a emptiness. And sometimes it feels almost demonic, like there's something on that person. But I didn't want to read into it that far and go into like a conspiracy with this. But her energy to me, it reads, I love what I'm connected to, but I cannot emotionally experience that connection on a normal level. That's what I get. So the astrology does point to a disconnection. It does point to her being possibly responsible. And I think it's fair to say that she's already admitted that she's done this, even though I never heard her say that, but that's what I'm hearing. I think her defense team, the state, the husband, well, the ex-husband, because I think Patrick has recently remarried. I do not believe that Patrick Clancy had anything to do with the murder of his 3 children, his 2 sons and his daughter. Her name was Cora. Beautiful children. I do not believe that he had anything to do with it. I don't believe it was a setup. Now, other people may feel that way, and they're entitled to that, because every reader or person in general who has their own opinion is allowed to talk about how they feel. I don't see that. And I'm using, I didn't even look at Patrick as far as astrology. My intuition is telling me no. I saw him up on the witness stand, and I don't believe that he had anything to do with her causing what happened. So here are my thoughts. I see a severe psychological disconnect with her. And it would have brought in a catastrophic action, and it did, causing immediate self-destruction to follow afterwards. I was also getting that there's going to be at least one medical licensed psychiatrist or doctor, I don't know which. Yes, there's a difference, you know that. family doctor versus psychologist. Psychiatric care is what I should be saying. I feel like there's going to be at least one who's going to be considered, I don't know if they'll lose their license or not. I'm not going to go that far, but I'm getting someone who is going to be kind of held responsible, or they're going to use a testimony of someone who is licensed who could have screwed up her medication or did not monitor her correctly. Because Lindsay went to several doctors and psychiatrists to try to get help. I will give her that. Some people don't even do that. But I'm just saying, it feels to me that there's at least one, maybe two, that did not do, I'm not blaming anyone here besides the person that did it, but they may not have done something or followed through on a medication. I don't know. It just feels that way. It feels like she was ignored, and that may come out, and that may be used later on in her defense. Something about medicine and being overlooked. It's almost like the doctor did not use good judgment in prescribing her something, and she was ignored. I do believe that, allegedly, it's possible that they will find Lindsay Clancy not criminally responsible, is what I was meditating and getting, due to mental illness. I don't think so. I don't think she's going to be convicted on 3 murder convictions. I don't see that. Now, it could happen. I'm not feeling that. Just did some intuitive search, pretty much, like scanning. I did not see that. I did not see her being convicted of 3 murders. Children. I just don't see that. I do believe she will have continued institutional confinement. I don't think she's going to be out free walking. I see her continued institutional confinement. So she's going to have treatment versus just freedom. And I'm trying to figure out, is she in the Commonwealth state, or I'm thinking she might be in a Commonwealth state. That kind of, I don't know why I was thinking she is. That may be something to look into as well. But I mean, I was just getting, is she in Commonwealth state? I don't know why that came in. Anyways, that is my verdict. I don't see her being sentenced to life. I think that criminally she'll be found not guilty and be more due to her mental state. There's going to be something about, there could even be a lawsuit that falls back on a doctor, is what I was seeing. I don't know. It feels like there's a psychiatrist or a family physician who failed her in some way. I'm getting that. And we may learn of a lawsuit going on to another person, or this could also alter the verdict in her, and it would go in her favor. But again, I feel so sad for the whole situation, the children, of course. I'm not giving her a pass if she in fact did this, and I believe she did. I definitely don't feel that Patrick was involved. But again, this is solely my thoughts, and I'm looking at the chart and using my own intuition, and I think she's going to be confined, institutionalized, is what I see there with her, and it will continue on. We'll see what the verdict is, but I hope the children and the families, I hope everyone can find peace. And I can't just come on here and say, let's put it behind us. You cannot put that behind you. 3 children, there's no way you can do that were harmed by the person that brought them into the world. I do believe it was completely mental, and I don't want to put a diagnosis on it because that's not my job. But what I was seeing was, I was seeing a psychological disconnection, a severe one. And intuitively, I was also picking up something with schizophrenia. If I went into this further, I'd say, man, she might have had some dark energy on her. But I don't want to put that into this video. Demonic. I was going to say demonic. I'm just going to say some severe mental issues going on there. All right, everybody.